continuous quality improvement. So hopefully this worked in the past so that this is good today and doesn't suck, because that's really important. So I got to visit with people just a little bit, and it's always interesting for me when I start, because I appreciate what you do more than you know right now. And if we have a little bit of time, I may be able to tell you about that. But the work that you do is extremely valuable, and for those of you who are new, will be stressful. And for those of you that already know, is stressful. So I would guess, in fact, we could do a show of hands. On average, let's see, if you slept last night less than 7 hours, raise your hand. Raise your hand. All right, Michelle, notice this. This is a problem, right? This is not going to be math and extremely awkward for you. But if you have literally eaten less than 6 vegetables in the last 3 days, raise your hand. Be honest. Oh my gosh. What about fruit? Come on. If you less than 6 fruits. See? Wow. Yes. Okay, so this is why this is necessary. This is needed. The kids call that calling them out. Like, are you calling me out? But I actually made you call yourself out. So that's good. It is impossible for your brain to not negatively focus on things. You don't not know how to not be negative. You refuse to reject negativity. See what I did there? You don't? No, it's I want to try to help you find some positivity, okay? And so at the beginning, I'm going to do something kind of unusual. I have a very limited amount of time. So you know how people save the questions for the end? So we're going to put the questions to the front. Then I can know exactly when I'm done. I may only get 2 questions done. It'll be over. So as you come today thinking about self-care, this is just an awkward moment for self-examination. Just look inside. Let go of all the distractions outside of here. Completely let go. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about this, that other thing. Let it go. Okay? And if you asked yourself, what one thing could I best do in my life now to improve my own self-care? You have paper in front of you, I think. Write it down. Just write it down. Real quickly. Don't trouble about it too much. You already know. What one thing could you do? And don't copy, because that other person's thing might not be your thing. You know who you are. Real quickly. Okay, and while some are finishing that, I saw you peeking. While some are finishing that, I want you to ask yourself this. What is one thing in your life that is not work-related that really brings you joy? Not work-related at all. I was reading an article just this week, and it said that I think it was 85% of all Americans are unhappy at work. 85%. That is a big number, right? Chronically unhappy. And I read another article, I do a lot of reading, and it said that you guys deal with capital T trauma all the time, right? We don't have to think about that. We know what capital T trauma is. But it was talking about lower T trauma. And it basically said that everybody is at risk of trauma since we did the COVID thing, the economic shutdown, and all the sort of changes in the structure of work that came after that. Everyone's at risk to be a little bit traumatized. Does that make sense to you? Okay. I want you to think about whatever that thing is that gives you joy, and then honestly think, and on a scale of 0 to 10, let's make it 1 to 10. 1 to 10, how well are you doing at cultivating that one thing in your life right now? Give yourself a score. Just give yourself a score. You might be like, that's the main thing I do when I get out of here. If you play pickleball, we know who you are. You do that.
Can we do it all the time?
So
how
as
do you do it?
as you look at your answers to your problems, your situations, what questions then come up that I might be able to answer? Does anybody have a question based upon what you wrote down? Yes, ma'am.
For me, how do I set boundaries?
How do I set boundaries? I was talking to, who was talking earlier about boundaries? Somebody, yeah, we're talking about, is it Caitlin? Yeah, wow. I called you out again. I'm just so awkward. Boundaries. Okay, any other questions that come from what you've written down? What else? Somebody when I was talking earlier, they wanted to invent a time machine. I think we figured out that was the conclusion. We could just create more time. Did anybody have something that requires creating time? Right, like we can do that. We can't do that. I have actually invented a time machine, but it only goes forward in time. And it's like 1 second at a time. But I'm working on the bugs, right? Here's the thing. Now I want you to do something. We'll actually use the time machine. We'll make a magic mirror right up here, okay? You can see through time, okay? We're going to do that. I want you to imagine a dream. But let me tell you before you start to write, I don't want you to tell me your $1 billion I won the lottery dream. Or even your $1 million I won the lottery dream. Because here's the thing about that dream. All of you know that you have a better chance of being attacked by a grizzly bear and a polar bear on the same day. A better chance of that happening than winning the lottery. If you don't know that, that's maths, okay? That's true. That's true, okay? So I don't want the $1 million dream, and even when I do this with children or other adults, I tell them, don't worry about the money, think about the dream. Dream may require money. Almost all dreams do require some money, time, treasure, or talent to be applied to it. Think about the dream 1 year ahead, and I want you to write down a simple dream. Now, a simple dream is this. It could be 1 week ahead. It could be 1 month ahead. Don't make it 5 years ahead. That's not a simple dream. That's complex. A year is a long time. 1 week, 1 month, 1 year for those of you that need it. Maybe you're trying to redo a 56 Studebaker. That's going to take a minute. All right? Write down a simple dream for yourself. It could be related to the joy you wrote down, or it could be something completely different. Think back when you were a child and you had those dreams and they were so easy. You were that age and it all seemed possible. And even if it didn't seem possible, nobody told you that it wasn't probably going to happen. Right? Unless they were really mean. Then they told you. When you look back, it's almost like a train going by in your memory. You can see, hear it. It's good when you can add the visuals and the auditory in. Okay, everybody got a simple dream? Okay, could be anything. Could be raised flower bed garden in the backyard so you can plant flowers and have easy access. Could be anything, okay? Now, here's the hard part. How much trust do you have in yourself that you will achieve that dream in a certain amount of time? Give yourself a score. How much trust do you have right now in yourself that you will achieve that? And if you have high trust or low trust, it doesn't matter. I want you to set a date that will happen. It could be July 27th. That's my birthday. If I'm a part of your simple dream, that's great. Okay? Or it could be something else important to you. Pick a time proper. It could be 1 week from now. All right? If you have trust in yourself, then you're halfway there. If you gave yourself less than a 5, then we're going to have to talk about some other things. Okay? If your simple dream is dependent on someone else, well, wow, we just went out of coaching to counseling. we can't. Yes.
Nobody or more.
Oh my gosh, that's easy. You know what you do?
Don't answer it. But
as soon as you get to the ocean, you pick up the device and you throw it into the ocean. This is a great question. It is literally. This is terrible. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm just going to say it quietly. Don't answer their calls. Refuse. Set boundaries. I will tell you this. Okay, this is true. I've been thinking about simple dreams. I appreciate this question so much. I've been thinking about simple dreams for a long time. Okay? My brother was a crazy, long-haired hooligan. All right? Some of you have known me long enough to know when I used to work for the senator in the Capitol and had the political funk, and I always wore my tie, and I wore the white shirt because you had to wear the uniform, right? And my brother, when he was young, he played guitar. But my brother figured out he would never be one of the best guitarists. So he switched to bass. If you play bass, you understand. And my brother, even with the bass, I remember he said, listen, if you use all 4 strings, you're just showing off. You can get by with mostly 3, okay? I think that's a bass joke, but I don't know. Right? He played in a rock and roll band. Every weekend he would go somewhere. He had a couple of CDs. And all he needed was, like, Foreigner said, just that one big break. Just one big break. That never happened. But he played some pretty big groups, 3,000, 5,000 fans. And a lot of his dreams, he lived them when I was at a grind. I was putting myself through school, doing all the things in the right order that somebody, maybe I thought they were supposed to be. And then we both turned about 50, right? And then my brother, this actually isn't my brother. I told you might get there. This is actually, he was by biology my cousin, right? He's 2 months and 2 days older, but I finished high school living with his family. We were these weird kids. You guys, you never had to deal with these, like, 2 dudes coming up, like, scoping on you. That never happened, right? So we had this little bit where we would talk to girls and we would say we were twins. But he was born 2 months and 2 days before me. That's why he was a lot taller. Because he ate all the food and just left the skinny little baby back. Right? It worked. It was magic. It was beautiful. It didn't always work. We struck out sometimes. But on his birthday, I would always call him and tease him about being so much older than me. I was like, oh, congratulations on your 51st birthday. How's it feel to be 51? Right? And then on my birthday, he would call and say, oh, welcome to 51. That type of thing. And that was really funny. And then he called me, and we had this bit that we talk about, and we talk about how when we were younger, we'd think if there was a burglar in the house, we'd get up and we'd get him, right? But now if there's a burglar in the house, we'd be like, get up, and there'd be a crunch, crunch, crunchy. If you're 50, It's like the burglar was like, dude, I can hear your knees. It's like, dang, I can't sneak up on him anymore. So I was talking to him, and this is related. He was having some sciatic, seemed like sciatic pain. I said, oh yeah, man, that's the thing. Maybe go to a chiropractor. But he went to the doctor. And then they found out they had little bitty holes in his spine. Yeah, that's not good. And then it was cancer. And the story gets short quick, doesn't it? If you know, they say. So my brother died. Right? And it became a very poignant reminder to me of something I've known since I was a really little kid. I have always known this. Like, it is a joke amongst my buddies. You get in the car with me, if you get 45 minutes and we're not talking about your imminent death, then it's probably not really me, like there's somebody's got me hostage or something. I'm constantly aware of that. And here's why. You guys read Harry Potter, right? Memento Mori, right? Remember you will die. But the admonition to remember you will die is so that you remember to live. Okay? You're already dead. Right? The graveyard is full of indispensable men and women. Rest while you're alive, not when you're dead. I assure you that if you were to pass tomorrow, somebody would take the paperwork off your desk and they would do it. Live like you don't have to do that to get out from underneath your paperwork. I mean, this is real self-care. Team on this. You have teams. Do this. Make somebody step up when you're out. I mean, that's a really hard answer to a question, but how do you do that? We have to figure out ways to do that, guys, because your job is so much harder than everybody else's job. And if you're only taking a vacation for, 7.5 days a year, oh my gosh. What are you doing to yourself? Like some of you have a faith basis, and in that book, it talks about a day of rest, right? And some of you don't take it. You take calls, you do hotlines and stuff. I get it, all right? I've been there, and I'm learning to take care of myself. And so let me return now. Appreciate the questions. Great questions. Got us really where we need to be. Your simple dream is important, okay? So look at this dream that you've written down. Now ask yourself, what if you never got it? What emotion goes with that? Go ahead, say it. What emotion? Sadness? Despair? Regret? We're the pissed off people. They never. Right? Aren't you mad?
Yes.
Now here's the question. If we look in that time machine, really, be honest. If you look back a month, back a year, I mean, some of you, you're a mess. Look back 2 years. You already knew that dream. Your yesterday self did nothing to help you get it. Your yesterday self. Now, we'll go forward. I haven't invented that part for real. Go forward and see yourself. And now imagine this. That moment that you're thinking about is true. It's the day. It's the celebration day if it's there. The little green things are coming up from the elevated garden, right? The paint is on. The Studebaker's coming out of the garage, right? Whatever your dream is, it's that day. How do you feel then? Amazing. What else? What do you got? It's happened. It's real. How do you feel? Joy? Satisfied. Exhilarated. Here's another thing about your brain. You should make some of these simple dreams very simple. And you should do them. Because we talk about kids' brains all the time. You are developing neural pathways in your brain that tell you what's important. Okay? There's this saying that says something like, show me your checkbook and I'll know what's important to you. That's paraphrase, right? You guys know that phrase? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Right? Show me your Google Calendar. And I'll know what's important to you. I tell parents, I do a lot of things. I do coach and help adults try to find real happiness and become disciplined, confident, grateful, have enjoyment of their life, be a leader of their own life. The first person you lead is going to be yourself. Okay? But all of those things have to come together for you to really have happiness. And, you know, there was a civil rights activist, and I forget her name right now, but somebody will know it. She said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right? Anybody remember who it was? Yeah. Somebody important. Man, get tired of being tired. Right? Figure out how do you move. Now, I know you want me to answer that question. How do you have boundaries? It's easy. It really is. Turn it off. That one's easy. That's hard. Right? It's like I tell the kids, like so many things in life are like easy and hard. If I work with little kids, they can't do this. I bet somebody in here can't do this. Anybody not do this? Admit it. Do-do-do-do. 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 I knew you wanted to do that. Here's one the kids can't do, and I bet somebody really can't do it. Whistling is really difficult. I love watching the teenagers try to do it. They do the same thing the 4-year-olds do. Hoot! It's really easy when you can. It's incredibly difficult when you don't know how to set a boundary. It's really difficult. You know, and I imagine there's a reasonable but slightly irrational fear that someone's going to die if you take a vacation. Is that what you guys think? Is that real? I don't know. I'm just imagining. Like, you guys have hard jobs. You think that? Is it rational?
I don't, but I think
Some people think that. Yeah.
Tabitha takes vacation though, and Tabitha works while she's on.
Tabitha! Called out from this side of the room. Listen, well, here's what I would wish for you, okay? I don't want you to be mad at your past self. Today is your tomorrow's yesterday. What? Today is your tomorrow's yesterday. All right? My phone is employed right here, right now, but I can show you on my screensaver. All of you have something meaningful to you on your screensaver. I have, where's that giant orange? I'll try this. All right, those of you that loved algebra, raise your hands. It's funny. It's funny to ask social workers that. Those of you that use an Excel spreadsheet, raise your hands. What does that do in Excel? It's the sum. It's the sigma. It adds the column up. How many children were in care in Greene County? Sum. Sums it up. Sum, and this is delta. Sigma, delta. Anybody do the sorority thing? I don't know if sigma delta is a real one. This is the sum of small differences. Delta is used to measure change over a slope. Okay? The sum of small changes. So, here's the thing. All right? Some of you probably wrote something down about your health. Anybody do something about health? Eating, sleeping, something about health? Okay. When I decided to join the gym, I made a commitment. I was going to be disciplined. I was going to go to the gym. I was going to go 75% of the time because I'm busy. Right? I'm busy. So I was telling the guy this shortly after this new year, and I said, man, I wish I knew how many days I'd come to the gym. I'm trying to do 75%. And he goes, oh, I can just print that out for you. I was like, oh, great. So he printed it out. And the first year that I had a gym membership, I went 115 times. I know what you're thinking. Mackie, you suck. Right. You're judging me. You'll judge me more when I tell you that was 115 times more that I stepped into the gym in that 1 year than I did in the 10 years before. Awkward. Right? When you begin to discipline yourself, be graceful. Be gentle. Be nice. Right? Don't overjudge yourself. Literally this morning, I got up and I was at the gym at 6 o'clock, and I thought, man, I'm so tired. And you know what I did? You're really going to judge me now. I took a nap. I can't go in. It's like, you ever get to that weird state of sleep where you're like, you know you're not really awake, and it's just going to get worse if you stay awake? So I just slept for like 15 minutes. I set my alarm, and then I went in, and I was like, oh, sleep in my eyes, all right? But I'm telling you, just give yourself some grace. Be merciful, all right? So these are the things, if I had more time, this is what I do. I mean, I really want to give you the best stuff right here. This simple dream, you're going to talk about some stress management, some things like that here in a minute with Michelle. But what I want you to do is just do mindfulness. You guys know these things, right? See, our senses, I was going to talk to you about your brain. I have just a few more minutes. Our senses just pick up information. We could all do this right now, okay? We'll do this. Keep your eyes open. I want you to look around the room, and I want you to think about everything that's red in the room. I'm going to do it for about 10 seconds. Everything that's red. All right? Very good. All right, close your eyes. So everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. Tell me everything you saw that was green.
Paper, colored pencil.
You're going to open your eyes and somebody's sitting next to you in green, and that is extremely awkward. Open your eyes. And the weird thing is, you're also going to notice you're wearing green. See, your brain went to look for what it thought was important, and you looked for red. But I told you to find green. Every day, remember I said, your brain can't not look at negativity. You have about 80,000 thoughts a day, they say. About 85%, I know it's a lot of thoughts. You're like, what was I thinking about? 85% of your thoughts tend towards negativity. Your brain is not smart. It's a safety device. You think that most of your decisions are made with this part of your brain. Most of you understand how your cars work better than you understand how your brain works, right? Do you know how your cars work? Yes. What else? Miracles. It takes transmission fluid, power steering fluid, blinker fluid, brake fluid. What? I did that once, and there was an adult, and she said, my dad's a mechanic. My car doesn't take blinker fluid. I go, oh, is it a foreign car? She goes, no, this is American. I said, your dad takes care of it. She's like, no, No. And then she does pick up her phone, she texts, right? And I just keep going on, like, move on, right? She's like, and I see the phone, and she looks at it, I go, what'd your dad say? He said, if my car needs blinker fluid, is it left or right? Thank you, Dad. Dads stick together. We got this. Inside of your brain, there's so many interesting things. We could talk about it really for 3 days. One of the parts, I'll tell you right now, so you'll remember this, is called your reticular activation system, okay? The reason I have that thing that I have on my phone, that picture, is because I know my life is the sum of small decisions, small differences, okay? There are things that I try to do every day that are very small. Most of you have not spent 15 minutes looking into a person's eyes that you love and care about in a day, 15 minutes just looking in their eyes without a distraction.
You don't know that I'm a stalker.
I noticed you wouldn't stop looking at me. I was like, except for her. We're going to connect later. It's going to be fun. 15 minutes. When I do family therapy and I tell a kid and a dad, hey, I want you to spend 10 minutes with no music, no electronics, no TV, dad's phone's in the kitchen, 10 minutes, they come back a week later, the kids always tell the truth. Dad did it the first 2 days. Right? Which we can be critical of that until we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, who am I spending time with? Right? And let me tell you something. Your brain cannot compete with $1 trillion computer. You're pretty smart. You're smartens, right? $1 trillion computer. You're addicted to it. We even think we have to have it when we're on vacations, right? We have to have it. If you sat and looked at, like, can I borrow your thermos? If you sat and looked at this for 2 hours at night, people would question your sanity. But you get on Facebook to see your friend's cat video, oh, they got a new kitten, and then you're there 2 hours later. Like, what the heck, what have I been looking at? And look at your history sometimes, like, oh my God, why was I watching that? Right? Take care of your brain. Tell your brain what's important. Tell it that simple dream. Okay, I'm about done here. I will take a few questions. Okay, I'm about done, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at whatever your simple dream was. Maybe it's a paragraph, maybe it's a couple sentences. Later today, make a commitment to mindfully journal about that. Put some sense to it. What's it smell like? I know what the ocean smells like. It smells like seaweed and starfish and oceany, right? It's like my favorite deodorant. My wife is like, she's like, wants candles. I'm like, get the oceany one. She's like, what's that? I was like, smells like sort of like dead birds and. If you're there at the red tide, you totally get that. Like, I want to smell like red tide. Ugh. What's it smell like? What's it look like? What's it taste like? I was talking about this with some adults and a nurse, and a guy wants to take his wife to the French Laundry. I'm like, dude, that's a bad idea. Your wife doesn't like to do laundry at home. Why are you going to go to France? Right? But it's actually a restaurant. Didn't know that, so it was awkward. And I was like, how much does that cost? He said, probably like $1,000 each. I'm like, where's it at? California. Another $1,000. It's $4,000. He's drinking it in like a $9 Starbucks. I was like, that's a math problem. And I did the math problem. It was like 266 days. He got one for his wife, too. For those of you mathematicians, there's none of you. I can say anything. It was 14 days and $9, whatever. That's a math problem, to go to the French Laundry. That's kind of a in-between, I think, because people mostly get pleasure from spending money on things that give them time. Like, I would recommend, if you can get there, it will be hard for some of you, somebody to clean your house once a month.
Yes.
You're not really paying them to clean your house. You're paying yourself to get it ready for the housekeeper. I hate that part. My wife's like, the housekeeper's coming. I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get all my stuff up, right? You love getting your time back, okay? Your reticular activation system needs to know what's important. If you tell it stress is important, work is important, those are the most important things, then your brain will constantly feed you stressful things, okay? Yes, question. You do like cleaning? Absolutely. No. Yeah, absolutely. I used to, when I had foster kids, I had one kid that was his thing, and sometimes we'd have guests coming over, so I just go say something to make him mad. It's like, oh, there goes the kitchen. You make them mad near the bathroom. Oh, there goes the bathroom. No, I'm joking, but it's kind of true. You get stressed, you start hyperthinking. Okay, real quickly, we'll just do 3 questions, and I got to get out of here. You got a lot more fun planned for the day. So, what questions do you have about simple dreams? Let me finish that. I'm sorry, I got myself distracted. Write it down. I want you to sum that up in 2, no more than 3 words. Sum up your simple dream in 3 words. I can tell you mine if it makes it any easier for you. Mine is a simple dream. That's my simple dream. My simple dream is to help kids, adults, people get better connected to happiness and joy. You understand, I see kids over here at the Lakeland Hospital. I do the intensive outpatient. So kids that are going to school but tried to kill themselves a week ago because they can't stay in the hospital very long. I now do the partial hospitalization program called Evolve. No, wait, Evolve is IOP. RISE is partial hospitalization. So I see kids that are suicidal. They want to die. Here's how I got to a simple dream, maybe 20 years ago. Okay? All these kids can tell me 5 ways that their life turns to absolute crap. Right? They're too fat, they're too stupid, too ugly. They're just like their old man. They're never going to amount to anything. Doesn't matter. They're going to be dead by the time they're 22. Do you know those kids? They could all tell me that. But they couldn't tell me one story about how their life got better. So I have like a kid, he's 6'2". I was like, doesn't matter, Mackie, F yourself. I was like, well, it does matter, because actually when you get out of here, what's probably going to happen is you're going to go back to school, and even though you haven't been trying, coach is going to ask you to be on the football team because you're so big, and you want to get on the team, and even though you don't care about school, you do care about playing football, so you're going to get grades. Mostly C's and D's, except for that one class where he's a coach, and he's probably going to give you a B because he likes you. But that's okay, you're going to go back to school. But after that, you're going to go to community college because you got that A+ scholarship because you start staying in school. And then you went to community college. And the really interesting thing is you had to get a job. And somebody said, hey, my auntie runs a flower shop. I was like, flower shop? But you went and took the job at the flower shop. And now you're working at the flower shop, and Mildred loves you. She actually says you're really good at putting flower arrangements together. So you put flower arrangements together, and you work there all the way through school. It takes you 4 years to get through community college. You still got 2 more years of college when you get to the other college. But you're working at the flower shop, and Mildred says, you know, I'm getting old. I need somebody to run the shop. So she says, would you run the shop? So you start running the flower shop. Now you're making things, but you're also supervising people, and you're running the flower shop. And that's cool. But then Mildred says, you know what? I want to sell the flower shop. And you're thinking, oh, no, I'm going to lose my job. And she says, you know, I'd like to sell it to you. So you buy the flower shop, and you're doing really good at running the flower shop. You're doing so good that you make another flower shop. Now you have 2 flower shops. So you buy yourself that cool car you've been wanting, and you got yourself that really interesting little ugly dog. That dog is so ugly, and you name it Mr. Mackey. What the? And you take your dog to the park, and you're walking around, and you bump into that person, and they fall in love with your dog. And they like your dog so much, they fall in love with you. And then you get married, and you have a baby, and you name him Nathan. Now, the only problem I have with this whole story is why didn't you name the baby Mr. Mackey? Because that's a great name. And so I started telling them a dream. But you know what the kid says? Mackey, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that at all. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you are. No, I'm not. I'm going to be a welder. My uncle's a welder. I already know how to weld. But you'd see what I did there? I got him to tell me his dream that he actually had way back there in the dark that he was afraid of. Now I got to figure out how to help him become a welder with his uncle. Maybe run a welding shop. Get an ugly dog. I'm going to be walking the streets when I'm like 94. I'm going to hear, Mr. Mackey, Mr. Mackey. Be like, what? It'll be like some guy chasing a dog. What the heck? Thank you for having me. It's been a joy to be with you, so thank you very much.